The creation of the world in 7 days. That biblical story that tells us that in just 7 days, the universe, life, and humanity, all of it, came into existence. I know many of you have heard this story, perhaps in school or church, but have you truly stopped to think about what it really means? In poetry, wisdom, and science, yes, science, hidden within this ancient tale, it's not just a sequence of events, it's a narrative filled with profound meaning, purpose, and a beauty that leaves you breathless. Today, we're not just going to recount the facts, we're going to explore the details, reflect on each day of creation, and uncover hidden messages that you might have never considered before. It's going to be a journey to the very beginning of time, into the mind of the Creator. Are you ready to see creation like never before? Well, let's begin. Before the beginning, the stage of nothingness. Look, to start this adventure, we have to go back to a time when there was no time, to a place where there was no place. The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verses 1 and 2, paints a picture that is truly chilling. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. Imagine this: total and absolute darkness, an immense void. There was no light, no form, no structure, only a liquid mass, an abyss covered by darkness. It's as if the universe were a blank slate, a blank page, waiting for someone to write something on it, a primordial chaos. And in the midst of that nothingness, that emptiness, only a presence, the Spirit of God moving, floating, waiting for the right moment to begin to act. This speaks to us of an unfathomable power, of an infinite intelligence that needs nothing pre-existing to create. It's not that God took already made materials. No way. It is that from absolute nothingness, He was going to bring everything into existence. This is the starting point, the black canvas on which the most magnificent masterpiece of all time was to be painted. It is truly mind-blowing. Day 1. Light, breaking the darkness. And then, in the midst of that impenetrable darkness, comes the first act of the Creator, the starting gun. Genesis chapter 1 verses 3 to 5 narrates it with brutal simplicity, but with a force that makes your skin crawl. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. The light. Pay close attention. The first thing God creates is not a planet, nor an animal, not even water itself, but light. Why? Because light is fundamental to life, to vision, to discernment. Without light, there is no way to perceive anything. Moreover, in the Bible, light is a symbol of God's presence, of truth, of life. The devil is the prince of darkness, so the first thing God does is cast out that primordial darkness. And not only does He create light, but He separates it from the darkness. He establishes order, a cycle, day and night. This teaches us that God is a God of order who leaves nothing to chance. From the beginning, He imposes a rhythm, a structure on the universe. And after each act of creation, what does He do? He evaluates it. God saw that it was good. A divine approval, impressive. The first day of creation not only gives us physical light, but also reveals the ordered and good nature of God. Day 2, the firmament, separating the waters. After the light, on the second day, things become even more interesting. Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 to 8 tells us, "Then God said, 'Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters.' And God made the expanse, and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse. And it was so. And God called the expanse heaven. And there was evening, And there was morning, the second day. Here, the key word is expanse, which in the original Hebrew is rakia, and is translated as firmament, or vault of heaven. Think about it. The universe was a chaotic mass of water. God, with His word, creates a kind of space or vault that separates the waters below, the oceans, the seas, from the waters above, the clouds, the atmosphere. It's as if He placed a gigantic crystal, a protective layer. And what is this for? Well, for two fundamental purposes. First, create the sky as we know it, the space where birds will fly and where we will breathe. And second, control the bodies of water, preventing the earth from drowning in liquid chaos. It is a work of cosmic engineering. God is shaping, delimiting, creating habitable spaces. Each day of creation is another step in preparing a perfect home. It is amazing to think about God's control over matter and space. On the third day, dry land and vegetation, life in its fullest glory. We reach the third day, and this is when the canvas begins to take color and fill with life, literally. Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 to 13 tells us, God also said, "Let the waters under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters He called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself, after his kind. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the third day. Look at this wonder. First, God commands the waters to gather together in one place, and suddenly the dry land appears. Mountains, valleys, plains emerge. Then to that bare land He gives an order: produce life. And all at once, the grass, the plants yielding seed, the fruit trees bearing fruit. Everything sprouts instantly. Not a seed growing slowly, but everything in its fullness. This is astonishing for several reasons. First, the diversity. It's not just plants, it's grass that yields seed, fruit trees that bear fruit after their kind. This already speaks to us of the incredible biodiversity that God envisioned from the beginning. And secondly, self-sufficiency and reproduction. Each plant has its own seed within itself, so that life continues. It is a perfect design, a complete ecosystem. Even before there were animals or humans, the earth became a lush garden, ready to be inhabited. It is a demonstration of power and love for detail that leaves you speechless. Day 4. Sun, moon, and stars. The light that illuminates and governs the times. And we keep moving forward. On the fourth day, the scene is completed with the great luminaries. Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 through 19, details it. And God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark seasons and days and years, and let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth." And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars and set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. Think about this. On the first day, He created light, a diffuse light, but on the fourth day, He created the specific sources of light: the sun, the greater light for the day, the moon, the lesser light for the night, and all the stars, placing them in their positions. But not just to give light. Their purpose is much deeper. They serve as signs for the seasons, for days and years. This means that the sun, the moon, and the stars are like God's great cosmic clock. They mark the time for us, the seasons for planting and harvest, the cycles of life. They give us stability, predictability, and show us the greatness of God. Because looking at a starry sky is breathtaking, right? It's a demonstration of His power and His perfect design to make life on Earth possible and orderly. It is a work of galactic-scale engineering. Day 5. Birds and marine animals. Life in the air and in the water. And life continues to sprout, unstoppable. On the 5th day, the Creator fills the sky and the seas with living beings. Genesis 1:20-23 tells us, "And God said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 5th day. Here, God not only creates, but commands the waters and the sky to produce. It's as if He gives them the ability to be fecund. Suddenly, great sea monsters appear. Dolphins, whales, sharks. Imagine what a spectacle. All kinds of creatures moving in the water, each according to its kind, maintaining diversity. The same with the birds, of all shapes and colors, filling the sky. And notice a crucial detail. God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply. It is the first time we see a blessing and a command for reproduction. God wants life to abound, to spread, to fill every corner. It is a day of exuberance, joy, and movement. The seas and the skies that were once empty now overflow with life, sound, and color. It is the joy of creation at its highest expression. The 6th day, land animals and man, the crown jewel. We reach the 6th day, the culmination of all creation, the most special day. Here, God creates land animals and, most importantly, human beings. Genesis chapter 1, verses 24-31 narrates it. Then God said, Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Up to this point, more life. But then comes the climax, the peak of the story. And God said, Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. And God created man in His own image. In the image of God He created him. Male and female He created them. And God blessed them and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. This is truly astonishing. First, He creates all land animals, from wild beasts to livestock, each in their own species, and then, when the earth is perfect and prepared, He decides to create the crown jewel, the human being. And He does it in a unique way, in our image, according to our likeness. This means that humans are the only beings created with the capacity to reflect God's personality, to have consciousness, to think, to love, to choose, and to have a relationship with Him. We are not just another animal, we are special. And not only does He create us, but He also gives us a clear purpose, to rule and subdue the earth. It is given to us the responsibility to care for, manage, and govern creation. It places us as stewards of His work and the blessing of "Be fruitful and multiply" is repeated because God wants humanity to fill the earth and take care of it. And at the end of this day, the divine evaluation is, "And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good." Not just good, but very good, because the creation of the human being, with its capacity to relate to God, is what gives everything else an incalculable meaning and value. It is the most spectacular day of all. The seventh day, rest, culmination, and final purpose. And we arrive at the seventh and last day, the day of rest. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3 tells us, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God finished his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because on it he rested from all the work which he had created and made." What a fitting end for such a magnificent work. God was not tired. God does not get tired. He rested or took a break because his work was finished, perfect, complete. He was satisfied with everything he had done. It is a rest of satisfaction and contemplation of his work. But this day has a much deeper meaning. God not only rests, but also blesses and sanctifies the seventh day. He sets it apart as a special day, a day of rest, of communion with him. This teaches us that the purpose of creation was not only for life to exist, but also for a relationship between the Creator and his creation, especially with human beings. The Sabbath, the seventh day for the Jews, is a weekly reminder of God's perfect work and of our need to stop, rest, and connect with him. It is the final seal of a masterpiece. Everything has a purpose, a function, and everything culminates in a day of peace and communion. Creation is a testimony to God's power, wisdom, and love. And each of us, being created in his image, is part of that story. It is truly worth reflecting on for a good while. Reflections on creation, beyond just a story. This is how our journey to the origins of the universe concludes. The story of creation in 7 days, as told in Genesis, is much more than an ancient tale. It is the foundational story that gives meaning to our existence. It teaches us that there is an all-powerful creator who spoke, and everything came into being. It teaches us that the world is not an accident, but a work of intelligent and loving design, with a purpose for each thing and each being. It teaches us that human beings are the crown jewel of creation, made in the image and likeness of God, with unparalleled dignity and purpose, and it shows us the importance of rest and communion with the Creator. If you've ever wondered, where do I come from? Why am I here? This story gives you the answers. It connects you with your deepest roots, with God's original design for you, and invites us to take care of this planet, this wonderful home he gave us. It is to be grateful and to live with purpose. If this story has touched you, if it has given you a new perspective, or if it simply seemed like an interesting talk, I would be thrilled if you joined our family. Subscribe to the channel, don't stay out, so you won't miss the upcoming adventures we have planned. And of course, I am very eager to hear your opinion. What surprised you the most about creation? Was there a day that impacted you more? Do you think science and the Bible can get along on this topic? Leave your comments below. I read all of them with great interest. Your ideas and reflections are what enrich this space. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this journey to the beginning of everything, for your time and curiosity. Until next time, may the wonder of creation inspire you every day. See you in the next video.